Like true journalism is bad. And Rotten Tomatoes, like I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, because if I don't know if you saw, but the Black Adam early review critics got their reviews out, and it's not doing well. I think it's at like a 50% right now or something like
Mhm.
that. And and of course I was reading a lot of them because I just got curious. I was reading a little bit, it's like only at the time I read it was like a dozen or 2 dozen, and I was reading them, and like it's weird how like a lot of it seems valid. They're kind of like, oh, maybe it's too much like the MCU. And I said, well, I haven't seen it yet, so maybe I don't know how true that is. So we'll see. But also I just hate the way Rotten Tomato like their percentage meter actually works. It's not.
Mhm.
It's like how's it working? It's like it's not actually 50% of people think that they didn't give it a 5 out of 10. It's like 50% gave it a 6 out of 10 or something like that, right? Is that how it works? It's
Something like
so
that.
it's incredibly easy to manipulate. Where it's like a
Yeah.
percentage of reviewers gave it a certain score. That's what
And
this
it
represents.
also goes into like they don't have, see, here's my issue with them too. It's not actual people putting these scores together. It's an algorithm
That's true.
that
You're right.
goes by score, but it is also going by keywords. Because I've seen many people and many journalists take their names off that site because they would put in a score for a movie, like giving it a 7 or whatever, but they might have said they had an issue with it, but it calculates that as a bad score because of their algorithm going, oh, you had mentioned you hated
Mm-hmm.
this, or you used the word hate or not good or something, and then it automatically calculates it under the bad review. And he's like, nah, bro, I gave it a 7. Like, how is a 7 a bad review? So like that's when I don't know, when
And
people used to like fucking people used to like hardcore try to like back up Rotten Tomatoes, like, oh, you just don't know, like it's not this and this, and I'm like, bro, why are you going so hard for Rotten Tomatoes? Like, I don't understand this. Like, where is your simping coming from? Like, why do you have such a hard on for Rotten Tomatoes? I don't understand it. As soon as
one thing I do like about Rotten Tomatoes is like because it does pull from so many different sources, it does compile a lot of reviews that you can read through. But
yeah,
because, like you said, the way their algorithm works, it looks for keywords. It automatically calculates what they think the score would be. It's just so weird. Like even for Black Adam, I was reading some of like the
mm-hmm.
bad reviews that has a little splat meter, and even like on the actual websites, they gave it a decent score. They're like, oh yeah, it's not bad. It has these issues with it, but their meter puts it down to like a 5 or 4 or something. So you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, even though they gave it like a 7, and you're kind of like, well, I don't. Why is it calculated differently? And I know with ever heard that YouTuber Jeremy Johns? Yeah, he's been around forever. But
uh,
he actually mentioned years ago in a video how Rotten Tomatoes will take his quotes in his videos and they'll throw that into their algorithm. And he doesn't. He said he doesn't have like an account on there. It's just
mm-hmm.
something they naturally do. Chris Stuckman, they do the same thing with him, where like he doesn't post it there. They basically take his quotes and they put it on there as like a certified critic or something. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just so weird about it. It's like because his review scores are like they're not numbered or anything. So it's weird how they take what he says
Yeah.
and converts it to what it thinks the number would be. It's like, oh yeah, good time, no alcohol required. That's a good rating, but like how good is that? Great good, or is that just good good?
It's
Like
like 5, right? Let's put a 5 on it.
we'll call a nice did 5 in the middle. But yeah, once you learn how Rotten Tomatoes works, it makes you question it. It's like I do like it only because you can at least read what people think. That's the only thing it's good for is like
Mm-hmm.
it compiles so many like reviews that makes it easier to figure out what people are actually saying.
I actually have a letterbox account, and the video you
Mm-hmm.
made about your like letterbox account is fucking hilarious because that's exactly what I was gonna do, but then I got like bored and just never did it. Because I was like, people are
Letterbox is
always
boring,
at,
yeah.
dude. So many people are asking me all the time, "Oh, do you have a letterbox?" Like, because like people always ask. I don't know why people always ask me like what I think about movies, and like I just have like such a long thing to say. I can't just be like, "Oh, I liked it." You know what I mean? I have to go into detail. So they're like, "Oh, you should go on
Mm-hmm.
Letterbox and blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. Oh, you should follow me as well." And I'm like, "Okay." So I did make a letterbox, but I just never used it because I was looking through it and I'm like, "This is very boring." And I was like, "The only way I'm gonna have fun with
Mm-hmm.
this is if I just give like really good ratings to shitty movies and just put up like really stupid reviews." So
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna do, but then I was like,
I thought this. I thought the
I just
same
never did
thing.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, I just never got around to it. I just never did it.
I checked out Letterbox recently. I forgot because I was looking for a movie and I was trying to see what like the consensus of it was. So I like to look at multiple different I like to look at IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic. I like to look especially when I'm making a video about like an older movie, I like to look and see what people said. So
Mhm.
I think I looked at I think it was Dawn of the Dead recently, Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. So I think I looked on Letterboxd just to see what people were saying. You can filter it by like rating. So I want to see what the worst things people say. I want to like that way I know if I can address it in the video. I like to do that.
Mhm.
And so that was the last time I used Letterboxd. Like it's not really fun. It's like probably because we make videos, so that's probably why we're kind of like, if I want to talk about a movie, I'll just make a video because it's
Yeah.
easier than typing everything out.
Especially if you're on your phone or whatever. I'm just like, that's just too
And
much.
yeah, it's like I don't care that
I
much.
barely like posting like any kind of text. I don't even like writing captions and stuff like that for my Instagram and stuff like that. So like, I'm not gonna write out a whole review for a movie.